Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Welcome into the Basketball Bulletin. Hope you're having a great Thanksgiving day. You know who's not having a great Thanksgiving, though? Anthony Edwards, who went off like we haven't seen in a long time on his teammates and Minnesota Timberwolves fans. What the hell is going on up north? We're going to dive into it. But first, quick reminder, do subscribe right here to the Basketball Bulletin. Only about 20% of you right now watching this video are actually subscribed. That's what the numbers tell us. If you're in that other 80%, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. It's free, and I'm a little bit biased, but I don't think you'll regret it. All right, let's dive in. Anthony Edwards' comments here. After the loss last night to the Sacramento Kings, Anthony Edwards first said, I'm going to take this one, which, first and foremost, he should have stopped right here. He should have stopped right here because this is what a leader does. Stop right here and say, this is on me. That's what the star should do. But he didn't. He kept talking. He said, I don't like front runners. Myself, I'm not a front runner. I hate to have front runners or to think we have front runners on the team. I don't think we have any of those. It looks like we was front runners tonight, 100%. Yikes. We was down. Nobody wanted to say nothing. We got up and everybody's cheering. We get down again and don't nobody say nothing. That's the definition of a front runner. We as a team, including myself, we was all front runners tonight. So I'm glad that he included himself in that. But still, look, this is a very serious thing to say, right? And the word front runner gets thrown around a lot. But what's he really saying if you're a front runner? It's saying you're weak. Mentally, you're weak. That's what he is saying when he says we were front runners tonight. He says, I don't think we had front runners, but we were tonight. So front runner is somebody who, when the going gets tough, they slink away. They can't handle it. They can't handle the pressure of the moment. They don't step up. They are mentally weak. That's what a front runner is. So it's a serious accusation to levy at your team if you're Anthony Edwards saying we're front runners, we can't withstand tough situations. We are sunshine soldiers, right? To quote Thomas Paine, we're not inherently, the opposite of that would be a winter soldier who fights through everything, the worst conditions. That's what you need. And Anthony Edwards is saying that's not what we were. We're up and loud and talking when things are going well, and when things get bad, we're nowhere to be found. That's a terrible quality for a team. Look, the bottom line, if that's the mental makeup of the Wolves, they're done. They're going nowhere if that's their mental makeup, if Anthony Edwards is correct here. So that's a very serious thing to levy at them. Then he says this. However many of us it is, all 15, we go into our shell and we're just growing away from each other. It's obvious. We can see it. I can see it. The team can see it. The coaches can see it. Whoa, okay, so he's saying we're not even a team. That's what that means. We're not even a team. We're 15 individuals. Good Lord. Then he said, the fans booing us, that's crazy, man. We're getting booed in our home arena. We're soft as hell internally, not to the other team, but internally, we're soft. We just can't talk to each other. Just a bunch of little kids. We just like we play with a bunch of little kids. Everybody, the whole team, we just can't talk to each other, and we've got to get it figured out because we can't go down this road. Okay, so there's a lot there that Anthony Edwards is saying. He's upset that the fans are booing them. He's upset that his team is front runners that can't handle difficult situations, that they slink away when the time is there to step up, and that they can't communicate, that they become individuals, they can't talk to each other, and they act like a bunch of little children. Well, there's a lot said there. But let's start with the fans thing. Because here's the thing, Ant. Here's the thing. If you want to be the team to make a Western Conference Finals run, this is what happens. This is called expectations. And this is not unique to the NBA. This is sports. You know what's really fun? When you're the surprise team, when nobody expects you to make the run and you make the run. Well, you know what's not so fun is the next season when now that's expected of you. Because then people aren't as, whoa, everybody see what the Wolves are doing out there? Look how great this is. This is amazing. Who thought they'd be here? Now everybody thinks the Wolves are going to be one of the best teams in the West. So when you're not, you're going to feel the pressure. You're going to get that negativity. So when the fans are booing, of course they're booing. You're expected to be better than this. And if you look at your payroll, That tells you should absolutely be better than this. The salaries are soaring in Minnesota. So, Ant, if you're lamenting that the fans are upset that they are booing you, of course they are. That's the price of success. That's the consequences. You want to be the guy? You want to be the man, the superstar in Minnesota? You better be able to handle some fans booing, because this is the standard you're going to be held to. This comes with the territory. I know he hasn't been there before, so maybe this is new to him, but this comes with the territory of being a good team. This is what happens. The bar gets raised, and you're expected to meet that level of play. Now, that said, the rest of what he's saying, to be honest, I think Anthony Edwards comes off a little bit petulant here, because you know what? Going to the media and complaining about your teammates being little kids, you know who would do that? A little kid. The problem is that most leaders, especially the grizzled veterans in the NBA that are going to say things like this, you know where they're going to say it? They're going to say it behind closed doors. They're not going to say it in the media, because how do you think his teammates are going to react to this? How are Anthony Edwards' teammates going to respond to him calling them children, to him saying that they can't communicate, to him calling them front runners, saying they are mentally weak? He may not be wrong. That may all be true, but Anthony Edwards going to the media and venting about his teammates is also a violation of the trust in the locker room. And so Ant is on this. Look, he's a phenomenal player. He's amazing. I think he is a rising star in this league. There's a reason why the NBA put Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves on opening night against the Lakers in that spotlight with LeBron and AD and all those guys. There's a reason why he was there, and that's because the NBA sees him as a rising star in this league, and that's what he is. But this is not leadership. This is Anthony Edwards saying the things that he thinks a leader is supposed to say, thinks he's being tough and calling out his team, that he's giving them some tough love. Do that behind closed doors. That's where you're going to get the respect of your teammates. And if you set the example, that's how you're going to be a leader. And it's not easy to be a leader, especially for a young player. But to me, Anthony Edwards missed the mark by saying all of this stuff publicly. This needs to be taken care of within the team, behind closed doors. Set the example. And then when you go out to the press, if you are the star, bear the burden. Bear the burden yourself. You say it's on me. He started off correctly, but you don't call out your teammates, because you know what? Guys not communicating, guys not talking. Is this going to make it better? You think this is going to make the vibe around the team better when you go and torch everybody for being mentally weak? Probably not. Probably not. But what's really going on with Minnesota, it's certainly concerning. And this is, maybe it's as simple as the old adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Minnesota was not broken. They went to the Western Conference Finals last year, and take a look at how they did it. Look at what happened. Look what's going on. Minnesota, they make the big trade in order to bring Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle to the Wolves, and they send Karl Anthony Towns out. I talked about the financial aspect of this team. They are high salary, but this cleans up their books a little bit. So that's part of it. But look at what happened. So last season, Minnesota, what was their superpower? Boom. Defense. Look at that. Nearly 2 points per 100 possessions, less given up than the next best defensive team in the NBA. They were the best defensive team in the league, and it was not close. That's unbelievable. They were that good of a defensive team. But here's the thing. And offensively, well, they weren't quite as good, but they were so good defensively. They were 17th in offensive rating. They were so good defensively that won games for them. Then you go to this season. What happened? Defensively, and Karl Anthony Towns not known as a good defender, but they're now 12th in defensive rating. They've also lost a point per 100 possessions off their offensive rating. Now they're 13th in offensive rating, but I believe they're actually scoring less, unless I flip that. 17th in offensive rating. Yeah, they are. Despite the fact that they are now 13th ranked, they are scoring about 1.5 points per 100 possessions less. Plus, they're giving up more points per 100 possessions. So their superpower, being an incredible defensive team, is not the case this year. Instead, the Wolves, who were so good defensively last year, are just pretty good. Just pretty good. But the difference between great and pretty good, it's massive. And it's absolutely crushing the Wolves right now. But here's why this is an issue. Is Karl Anthony Towns, who they traded away, is he a great defensive player? No. He's known more for his offensive game. But the thing about defense is all five guys need to be on a string. You know why? Because in the NBA, the offenses are too damn good. That's the situation. The offenses are too damn good. If you are off by a step, half a step in your rotation, the best offenses will recognize it and they will punish you every single time. And if you watch the way the game has evolved over the last 5-ish years, even if we want to go back 10 years, you look at the way teams have now become so accustomed to reading what defenses are doing. You can see it. The best teams, when they react to what a defense is doing and they swing the ball to the opposite side after a double comes and they get a wide open three, it's almost muscle memory at this point because it's been ingrained in these offenses how to punish defenses and how to recognize when they make mistakes in their coverages. So if you are a team that cannot communicate, as Anthony Edwards is saying they can't, if you're a team that is only locked in when you're up and things are going well, you're going to have problems on the defensive end of the floor because you have to have all five guys. All five have to be in sync in order to have a successful defense. If there's one weak link in that chain, NBA offenses today are not just good at it, they are trained to sniff out weaknesses and in defenses and exploit them over and over and over again. And again, that's not to say the Wolves are a bad defense. They're just not a great defense like they were last year. And what does that mean for them? Well, it also means this. This is what happens. The Wolves right now on a 4-game losing streak. And here's the problem with what the Wolves have done this season. I talk about this a lot, but the most important thing, I know we focus on the big marquee matchups. We focus on the Wolves against the Celtics. We focus on the Wolves even going up against the young upstart Rockets or things like that. Losing those games, it's not ideal, but that's not what's gonna hurt you. That's not what's going to put you where the Wolves are right now, which is on the outside looking in the Western Conference. I mean, who would have thought that the Wolves, as a Western Conference finalist last year, would currently be sitting 12th in the NBA's Western Conference? That is pretty, I know that's part of why Anthony Edwards is so pissed off. But what you can't do is lose the games you're supposed to win. You can't do that. You have to find, it's not the loss to Boston that's going to hurt you. It's the loss to Toronto. It's not the loss to Sacramento that's going to hurt you. Those are troubling. You should pick up a win here or there, but you're not going to win. You can play your best basketball, and you're not going to win every time you play the Celtics. If you play your best basketball, you're going to win 9 times out of 10, maybe 19 times out of 20. If you're a team with the upside of the Wolves, every time you play the Raptors, those are the losses that you cannot take. And you look what the Wolves have done this season. Look at that. Lost to Toronto. 2 losses in a row back-to-back to Portland. You damn sure can't do that. Losing to Miami by a point. That's a tough one. Again, you want to complain about not executing down the stretch. Yeah, that's bad. And you lost by a bucket to Boston. San Antonio. You go to San Antonio and drop a game there. Lost to the Lakers opening night. See, the Lakers, the Mavs, even though they're not the top tier of the West right now, and I think the Mavs can get there, those are still more acceptable losses. You can say, hey, they just played a really good game that night. Same thing with Boston, with Houston, with Sacramento. It's Toronto. It's the 2 Portland games. Those are the games where your team, your mindset has to be, thank you for putting this game on the schedule. We're going to get in here and we're going to take care of business. You can't take opponents lightly. You can't play down to your competition, not in the Western Conference. So that's been a big problem for this Wolves team, because if you flip those games that they should have won, 2 against Portland, 1 against Toronto, add 3 more wins to their schedule, and then they are, 11-9 right now? No, they'd be 11-7 because that's how math works. They'd be 11-7, and where would that put them in the Western Conference? If they're 11-7 right now, had they taken care of business, they'd be knotted at the 5 seed with the Lakers. And would that be good for the Wolves team right now? No, but it wouldn't be panic. It wouldn't be Anthony Edwards going off trashing his team after their latest loss. It's those losses to the teams they should have beat that are really hurting them right now. And again, it's evidenced by the defense going from elite, and then you make that trade, and now it's just above average, slightly above average defensively. There's a lot of issues right now in Minnesota. I still think this is a very good team, a very talented team. I think they absolutely can bounce back. But Anthony Edwards, I think with his comments, it's possible he just made things even worse. We will see how his teammates respond to this. Do they respond, or do they just roll their eyes and say, here the kid's complaining again? I think it would be different if this was coming from Mike Conley, say. That would be a little bit of a different story if it's a veteran who's been around forever saying these kinds of things. But it's Anthony Edwards. Does he have that kind of leadership stake in the Wolves right now? Is that really his role on this team, to where the players, the other guys, the guys that are older than him, the guys that have been around longer than him, they're going to listen to this and they're going to look within and they're going to say, yeah, he's right? Or are they going to say, why is this guy trashing us? We're supposed to be a team. Things may get worse in Minnesota before they get better, especially when you take a look at their upcoming schedule. Uh-oh. It's not easy. Here it is. The Clippers, who have been great defensively. They've made every game a battle. You've got the Lakers, who beat the Wolves. And frankly, the Wolves should have an advantage here, but the Lakers beat the Wolves opening night. Back at the Clippers again, then Golden State, then Golden State. Then we get into the in-season tournament games, and who knows, the NBA Cup games, who knows what that's going to look like on the Wolves schedule. But after the Cup games, New York, Golden State. And again, there could be, maybe they get Utah, and I mean, I would throw Portland in there, but they lost twice to Portland already. But who knows in the NBA Cup games? Maybe they get a couple of games against Utah or something thrown in there, and so they stack up some wins. But otherwise, that's a rough month of December when you look at this. Clippers, Lakers, Clippers, Golden State, New York, Golden State. Whew. 3 games against the Warriors just in the month of December. And then you get Dallas, Christmas Day, then Houston, who you've already lost to, San Antonio, and you finish off 2024 New Year's Eve against the best team in the West in Oklahoma City. Yep, it's a rough month for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we'll see where things go from here. Do they step up, or are they exactly what Anthony Edwards says they are? Are they front runners? I think we're going to find out for sure over this next month. Once again, everybody, have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. We sure do appreciate all of your support here on the Basketball Bulletin. Everybody has been absolutely fantastic, and we couldn't be more excited to continue talking NBA basketball with all of you. Have a great one, everybody. Till next time. See ya, and stay safe.